check. 1, 2, 2. 1. 1, 2, 2. 1. Yeah, 1, 1, 2. 1, 2, check. 1, 8. 1, 2. 1, 2, 2.
What do you need, Brian?
Just to
Symbols on your right.
Put both of them up there, stack them up.
One, two, two, 1, 1, 2, check. Woo!
We're about 8 weeks into the tour.
Okay, and this new album you actually did a year ago, though, right?
Yeah, we did it before we did the first American tour, and we held the first album back so as we could tour America with the first one, which was released a year before in England, so as we could come straight back on the road this year, you know.
And do you have any album in the can or anything?
No, I've got ideas for 2 albums, which I'm hoping to record as soon as this tour finishes, which will be about September of this year. Hopefully it'll be released around January or February next year.
Okay, and how have the crowds been?
Phenomenal, incredible, real big crowds, yeah. Between 18,000 and 20,000 people a night, you know.
That's great, yeah. Also, when you finally go into some cities, are you still getting some of the flack and everything?
There's been a lot of flack from this tour because of the controversy and because of the way it snowballed with these crazy things that have happened on the road. I am trying to play it down somewhat because we're getting a lot of hassle from the Animal Society because there's a rumour going around that I'm blowing up goats and I don't know where that come from, you know.
Right, yeah.
I mean, without all the effects we've got on the road, the show's a damn good show, you know, and a lot of people. I mean, like tonight we're doing a B, what we call a B show, because of the facility, we can't always use the props that we've got on the road. So when we can use the props, we call that the A show. And like tonight, we can't use the props, so this is a B show tonight. But even so, the music still carries it off.
Yeah. Also, do you still talk to any of the guys from Sabbath at all?
To be perfectly honest, I'm so busy myself that I don't really have the time to, because they're always one side of the world and I'm always the other. I'm so busy with my own project that I don't have time, you know.
Why did Ward leave the band, you know?
I really don't know. I haven't spoken to him since the day I left.
Really, yeah. How about in '78, your voice was a little bit, you had problems with it?
I was doing a lot of drugs in those days, you know, and I stopped, I'm cleaned out now. I don't touch anything.
So how's your voice now, though?
I have problems because every town you do, you got different temperatures. This is the first time I've done doing a show in reasonable weather. I mean, we've been through some horrendous weather. Sometimes I do have voice troubles, especially when I've been doing like 7 gigs on the shot, you know. I mean, how would you feel screaming your lungs up for an hour and a half every night for 7 nights a week?
Yeah. You still live in that big house?
No, I don't live on a bus now.
No, you remember the house I used to live in during the '70s?
Oh, I don't live in there anymore. I've divorced my wife since in those days.
Yeah. So, how's the reaction in England compared to America? Are you bigger here, do you think? Oh,
without a doubt. I mean, the American market is far more greater than it is in England, but I still have a very good following in England.
But bands like Saxon and Motorhead are getting pretty popular in Europe, too.
I don't know about Saxon so much as Motorhead are the biggest thing in Europe at the moment. They toured with us on the last tour. They're great guys, you know.
Okay, so you said you have about 6 more weeks to go?
No, till September.
To September?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you in Phoenix last year, and you seemed like you were touring all year then.
But it's been a lot of, it's been very disciplinary for me because whereas Sabbath I gave up and I was drinking a hell of a lot of alcohol. I mean, this time of the day with Sabbath I'd have been on my back somewhere, you know, smoking marijuana or something, you know, getting crazy. But it's not worth it. I'm becoming very anti-drugs at the moment. I realise what now. When I've cleaned myself out of it, I realise what an idiot I was. You know.
Yeah, it seems like it can get really self-destructive a lot.
You're under the influence of a drug, and it screws you up. You can't function. You wouldn't perform a brain surgery operation under the influence of a drug. It's the same thing with anything you do in life. When you've got to use your brain to do something, and you're under the influence of some kind of drug, it's just not fair to the people, you know.
But don't you think it's part of our generation now and the whole music?
No, I think we've got too much going for us in our generation. We have we're so free, and we don't realise how free we are. And there's too many people, for me, complaining about how free we are, you know. And at any given time, it could all change. And I'm not saying I want it to change. I'd like to get up there and give people a good time. And people, you know, I've got this reputation of being a crazy. I suppose I am crazy. I mean, who's more crazy than me for entertaining kids or people building the biggest thing to blow us all to kingdom? Come on, I don't think so.
No, but that's entertainment. That's a show.
Yeah, but I've had a lot of controversial comments on this tour about how bizarre I'm getting and do you think you're taking it over the top and all this? Well, I'm not. It's just show business. That's all it is show business.
No, you put on a good show, definitely.
I do my best. Some nights is better than others, you know. I come off stage sometimes feeling depressed, but the kids enjoyed it, and that's all. In actual fact, that's all I'm there for, to make people walk away thinking, wow, it was a good show, you know. Then other times I thought I was pretty good, and they walked away thinking, you know, I think it's you can never win.
Very much put us home on the road, this place.
Oh, I think it's great. Okay.
In Paddington.
I get my cheat sheet here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Looking back on your days with Taste, how do you feel about like what you, Wilson, and McCracken did? What did you learn about that you later carried on to your solo career? And how do you feel about like the music you did then today?
Mm-hmm. So you just want me to answer that?
Yeah.
When you Did you tell me when?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're running. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Oh, I look back in those days with a certain amount of affection, but I don't like to live in the past either. But when it's your first real step into rock and roll and blues, you know, you obviously remember good memories of touring and being in the studio for the first time. So, I mean, I cut my teeth in that band, but a lot has happened since, and I'm more conscious of what's happening now and the future.
Okay. When was it that, and why was it that the three of you guys decided to part company?
Yeah. Well, the band was running for about 4 years, 2 years with John and Richard, and we just played 340 days a year. Who knows? A band just fizzles out if it runs out of compatibility or whatever, and it just came to an end. But I think it just happened at the right time.
Okay. That's good. Okay. From your very first solo album on Chrysalis, well, now it's on Chrysalis. Back then it wasn't, but you had Jerry McAvoy.
Mm-hmm.
You two obviously have a special relationship, and you feed off of against each other. What is it? How would you describe your relationship with him?
Well, first of all, he's from Belfast, and that's sort of my second home in Ireland. I kind of adopted Belfast with the taste, and we got very friendly with the musicians there, and there's a certain mentality in that city that is nice, and it's a kind of a casual but serious way of playing, and you get a little bit of ESP going. And now with Brendan O'Neill, the drummer, he's also from Belfast, so it's a crazy gig.
3 hours or something?
Oh yeah, and because Brendan, his foot is patched up, and I fell over a monitor and hurt my foot, so it's real emergency ward 10, you know.
Okay. What is it? What would you say it is between you and Jerry? What's the chemistry there?
It's just a little bit of ESP, and it probably dates back to my affinity with Belfast musicians and that town. It's just a sort of a humour that you can bounce off. Also, there's, certain terms of reference. A lot of people around there listen to a lot of R&B records, and it just a lot of shortcuts mentally, which is great.
Okay. Martin do for you on keyboards, and why did you stop using keyboards? If you could talk about that.
Sure. Well, Lou was the first time I heard him playing. He was one of the few guys in Europe that, at the time, that could, at one point, sound like Otis Spann, and the next minute he could play like Jerry Lee Lewis. He covered the whole range, and he just came along on an Italian tour, and we just tried him out, and it just sounded good. And bit by bit, it naturally changed the harmonic sound and the chord structures and so on. And we had recorded a couple of albums together, but after about 5 years, I felt like going back to the guitar, bass, and drums idea, and because it's more freeform and more rhythmic. But certainly, he's an A1 player. It's great.
Do you miss having that fill where you can lead off of it? You know what I'm saying? That you don't have to play those chords because he's filling in there or whatever.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, from the point of view of, naturally, every other musician playing with you is an inspiration. But no, from the point of view of you being responsible for the chords and the chops and the leads, and just for the openness of the trio sound.
Okay. Okay, I'm a big blues fan, and obviously you are too. What do you get out of the blues, and who are the guys you like? Do you like Little Walter, Big Bill Broonzy? Who do you like? Well, what do you get out of the blues?
Well, as a child, I liked Leadbelly and Big Bill Broonzy. They're the first blues players I heard, and it was like more acoustic blues, country blues. And but obviously, growing up on rock and roll and folk music, I soon looked behind the rock and rollers and found people like Jimmy Reed and ultimately Muddy Waters. And but like any European, educating yourself in the blues was a slow process. You had to dig out this record and that record, and eventually put the whole picture together. But the people I like would be, I like Junior Wells and Buddy Guy, the late J.B. Hutto, covered one of his songs, and he's a great slide player. I like Albert Collins a lot, and but I still have a soft spot for the old acoustic players like Scrapper Blackwell, Blind Boy Fuller, Blind Lemon Jefferson, people like that.
All right, since '69, you've had like 18 or 19 odd albums. Through all of that, you've stuck with your music. Whereas other groups saw the shift in musical tastes, and tried to mold their sound to fit those tastes.
Yeah.
You stay true to your roots. Why?
Well, I just, you know, you have to believe in yourself, and I can't really chop and change every other year. I mean, when different fads came out, people were saying to me, "Oh, Rory, come on, you got to sound like Gary Glitter, and you got to sound like T-Rex, you got to sound like every new shift." But I mean, I'm not a blues purist to the point of distraction, but I do believe that in blues, rhythm and blues and rock and roll should be kept fairly untampered with. And now the latest fad is R&B is coming back, and this is the joke. So, you know, it's just as well that I didn't start going off on these wild goose chases. But I mean, I understand some people are more light-footed about changing styles, and they like to be reggae one minute and then change to new romantics, whatever. But I mean, I just believe in the roots of the music, and I just try and work on that, and I just stuck to it, that's all.
Yeah,
It helps.
All right,
Yeah.
Robin Trower and you're both in a similar situation, trying to get a record deal and the whole thing. Why is it you think that radio doesn't play your songs? I mean, both you guys have tremendous talent, but what do you have to do to get like the record barons to see that and get a deal? What's the problem with them and the radio and the whole business?
Well, the last couple of years, it's become a more cutthroat, and a lot of the A&R people and record companies are getting very, you know, pop record and video conscious and so on. But I mean, I've got my record deal sorted out now after a bit of fussing and fighting. But and I just wouldn't go with any company. Some companies will say, okay, we'll give you a deal, but you've got to work with this producer. You've got to wear that. You've got to sing that, and it's not an ego trip. But I mean, you have to believe in yourself, even if you're slightly wrong. It's better to do your own thing. And but certainly a lot of the so-called artist relationship thing and the ethics of the older companies or the A&R men before this generation were a little more true to their hearts. The newer bunch are just all, you know, some of them anyway, are really more strictly dollar conscious and strictly points and products and words like that.
Yeah. Along those lines, where do you see yourself fitting into today's music? How do you want to be seen or heard? And what's important for you now in terms of your goals? And what do you want to do with your music?
Well, I have musical goals inside and in my mind, which is a very abstract way to live, but that's the only way I can live. I just work from day to day, week to week, as opposed to having, you know, the album, the video, the tour, the stew, you know what I mean? I don't like big projects, you know, but of course that's not the Dale Carnegie way of living, you know, but I'm happy as long as I can proceed, you know, but I see, all I try to do is to say that I play with my heart and my soul, and I have respect for the roots of the music that I play, but I would also like to be contemporary and valid today. And I don't think that's a whole contradiction either.
Okay. It still must be, when you're at a gig and you're getting that feedback from the audience, and you see that guy in the front row, and you're looking at him, and you know that he's digging your music, and he knows where you're coming from. What sort of satisfaction reward do you get out of that when you see someone there and who's getting off like that?
Well, that's great. You know, you don't analyze it obviously, but also it's good if you can actually communicate with people, an audience, young or old, and not strictly on a blues educational type thing. I don't agree with that either, because that's snobbery. But if you can actually play from the heart with the real truth there, and you can communicate by any means, whether it's the tempo or the way you present the song. But if you can turn people on, I mean, that's the oldest reward in the book for entertainers, you know, for musicians.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Is it all right if the lady brings the drink in?
Please, please.
Yes, all right.
Just, you know, anything's great. Your attack and technique in 1967, even on the first album, it seemed well developed and everything. What had you done before that first album, Whiter Shade of Pale?
Well, I've been really in two groups previous to Procol Harum. One was a group called the Paramounts, which Gary Brooker was also in. And after leaving the Paramounts, I formed a three-piece blues band called The Jam, which I was actually in when I sort of auditioned for Procol Harum.
Mm-hmm. Now, but for the time, 67, it seemed like your style was a bit, to me, it was ahead of its time. What were you
well,
I know, but what were you looking for? Even back then, though, you seemed to have a clear idea where you wanted to go.
Well, it's very much a blues-based, you know, I was into blues guitar players, basically. I mean, B.B. King, Otis Rush, and I think those players were ahead of their time, you know, and I think, you know, if their influence rubbed off on me, then perhaps that made it sound that way, what I was doing.
Now, talking about when you were in Procol Harum, of course, Brooker and Reed wrote a lot of the stuff. It seemed like when you do a solo like on Surtees or Repent Walpurgis, right, or Walpurgis, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it seemed like there that you really were trying to say something. Did you feel, I mean, Brooker's fantastic, but did you feel stifled by the heavy piano and keyboard, you know, main part?
No, not at all, really. No, I mean, you just try and play with as much feeling as possible. I think that probably gives the effect of kind of a breakout kind of feeling to the solos. Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's all it was, really. Yeah. I wasn't feeling, at that time, in any way stifled. It was later on when I started to write songs for the guitar that I felt, you know, like keyboards would, you know, weren't suitable, really. That's why I left Procol Harum.
Mm-hmm. It seemed like by '69 with Salty Dog, we're talking about Juicy John Pink on that one, or you know, Crucifixion Lane, and then especially in '70 with Whiskey Train, that you were really, really coming to your own. And then,
well, I was starting to get into writing songs. That was the thing, I think, which made it seem stronger, my part in Procol Harum, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now, to me, Broken Barricades is my favorite album of the band.
Yeah, it was a good album.
Now, the song, I mean, I know you've heard this question a million times, but Song for a Dreamer, to me, I was just writing down some things here. There's a lot of space in the solos. There's a lot of breathing to it. You're really working on the notes, technique, the whole deal, much more relaxed, much more precise. What was it about that song at that time that really, it seemed like your head had really opened up a lot?
Well, it was written as a tribute to Jimi Hendrix, you know, the lyric and music both. Keith wrote the lyric to it. Mm-hmm. And that's really the first song that I'd written that I really felt I could actually write sort of a complete music for the guitar. Up to that time, it was sort of all right to stick one of my songs in amongst all the others. But after I'd finished Song for a Dreamer, I thought that, you know, that I could carry it with just the guitar playing. That's really what that track did for me.
In terms of self-confidence, you really felt
Yeah, I mean, I felt that I could do without keyboards then, you know, and do the thing completely with just with guitar.
So when was it? Was it during the '71 tour you decided to give it a shot on your own, or?
I can't really remember how it came about, really. You know, I think it was only a natural kind of progression that I would do that eventually anyway. You know, if not that year, then the next sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did you run into Jimmy Dore and Reg Isidore? How did that all work?
Well, after leaving Procol, I teamed up with a singer called Frankie Miller. Mm-hmm. And the idea was that we would form a band together. But we wrote a lot of material, but we never really got it together as a band, you know. But through Frankie, I met Jimmy, who was a friend of his who he recommended for bass and backup vocals. But I heard Jimmy sing, and I thought he would be absolutely ideal for lead vocals, you know. So when it came to forming the three-piece, I thought, you know, I'll snatch him away and find a drummer. And Jimmy actually found Reggie through another musician called Zoot Money, who knows everybody, you know, in London.
Yeah, you know, Peter Green,
Yeah.
and everything, yeah. What was it about that? I mean, twice removed from Yesterday and then Bridge of Sighs, but the density of sound there, everything, I mean, you obviously felt you had something special, but what was the real quality to the music back then, do you think?
Well, it's the same for me as it's always been, trying to be as soulful as possible, you know, as intensely soulful as possible. You know, the songs were written to be that way, and the attempt at the performance was to maximise that, you know. I think that's what that all had.
Mm-hmm. Now looking, when you got Rusty Allen on bass in 76 and 77, that really added a lot of freedom to the band, right? In terms of...
Well, it certainly enabled me to spread out with my writing a bit more and get more into the soul thing, which I was always sort of into, you know, but more complex rhythms and you know, all that went with it, sort of thing. But in actual fact, it didn't really work out as I'd hoped. I think they were a couple of good albums, but I think it went off in a different direction than I was sort of really thinking. Mm-hmm. I was thinking that I would bring that into my music rather than what actually happened was that it sort of changed the way my music came over.
Dominated.
Yeah, I think in a way it detracted really from what I had. Mm-hmm. Although you know, I was very pleased with the albums. I could see now that, you know, it was a bit too experimental also at the time. I think, you know, there wasn't many white people making that kind of music then, you know, so. And it didn't get played on the radio because I don't think it fitted into any category, you know, which radio stations always like to have sorted out, you know.
Now, how do you look, skipping ahead, how do you look at the 81 and 82 collaboration with Bruce? I mean, I was looking at a few songs here. What It Is, Won't Let You Down, Endgame. Those are all, to me, favorite songs on the first album there.
Yeah.
Did you really, and then the second album seemed a little bit weaker. Were you exactly happy with the finished product there? Did you really feel you were pushing yourself?
No, I was so unhappy with it when I finished it that I just said, let's forget it. Not from anything really that Jack had done himself, it was more from my contribution, you know. I just felt that I was being stifled again with working with Jack, because you know, if you're a sympathetic musician, you always kind of leave room for everybody else, you know. If they've got something to say, then you tend to sort of give them room. And Jack has got a lot to say as a singer and a player, but it didn't leave a lot of room for me, unfortunately. So the first album that we did together, he came in on my thing, just as more or less as a session-based singer, you know. And I think that worked a lot better because it was all my material and I knew exactly how I wanted it to sound. I didn't get enough time from him for that album to make it as good as I'd liked, but I think it was more successful than the second one, because the second one we agreed that it would be a co-produced kind of thing, you know, that we would share everything. So that meant more of his writing and more of his say, you know, which, you know, was a fair attempt, but when I'd finished it I realised it hadn't been turned out what I wanted.
Yeah, it was also on the first album that you started writing with Keith again, right?
That's right. Is that right?
It is.
No, Victims of the Fury was before that, wasn't it? Yeah.
You did do some stuff on Victims of the Fury, okay.
That's right, yeah.
I remember seeing the credits on both those albums and then, you know, back it up and stuff, yeah. So how did...
Yeah, Victims of the Fury was the first one we wrote together.
Mm-hmm. Did that help out a lot too? I mean, what did that do for you?
Well, I've always found lyrics a real struggle anyway, you know, and I thought it was time to bring some fresh ideas into lyrics. Keith was the obvious guy, you know, to do it, and it was very successful, I think. You know, we wrote some good songs. Victims of the Fury particularly was a good song. Mm-hmm. Some other good stuff on there.
Okay.
Just a second.
Okay, sure. It's easier, better. Okay. I guess moving up more towards the present, Roary Gallagher is one of my favorite guitarists. I really love his style, and yours too. What about today's audience, I guess, in terms of radio, you know, record executives and stuff? Is it really hard? I mean, you know, Gallagher doesn't even have a record contract now. I mean, and you know, you're going through the changes with that too. I mean, you guys are so talented, but it seems, what do you have to do to get a contract with these people these days?
Yeah. No, I mean, I can well see their point of view. I mean, it's a business, isn't it? You know, and it's just like any manufacturing business. They want a product that they can manufacture and shape, you know, manipulate and sell. You know, they don't want something that doesn't fit into that sort of prerequisite thing, you know, that they need. I think that's the problem with it, you know. They don't take chances in business. They just go for what they know they can sell. Which, you know, 9 times out of 10 they're wrong, but, you know, once in a while they come up with a biggie, and that's what keeps them in their jobs, I suppose.
Where does that leave you?
Beaumont, Texas, doing the Blue Heron Club.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, in terms of the future, how do you fit in? How do you want to fit in now? You don't have to have the platinum albums anymore, just as long as you can play your music and still realize that, you know, that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm determined to play the music I want to play, regardless, to the bitter end. But, you know, I mean, I'd like to have an album deal sorted out, but not at any cost.
So, down the road, what do you see? Are you going to keep on with a trio or anything?
Yeah.
How do you feel about, you've tried a lot of experiments in music before. Do you feel like trying any new ones in the future?
No, I think I've experimented enough in the past, and you know, I just want to really do what I feel comfortable with now, and what I'm good at, really. I feel that is my forte, really, a 3-piece. It gives me enough elbow room to really let it hang out a bit, you know. So, you know, music should be fun. I mean, you can get serious about it, which I did over, you know, certain periods. I got very serious about it and took it perhaps a little bit too seriously. You know, and so now it's just a matter of having a good time and a good blow and enjoying it, really.
Well, we asked this one last question because I know you want to get over that felt. Can I get you to sign these, or I just happen to have
Just
these?
happen to have every bloody album, right?
I'd appreciate it, thanks.
Right, pleasure.
Let's see, what did I have in the back here? Okay. Do you still see any of the old guys like BJ or Fisher or Brooker, Lorden, Isidore? How are they doing these days?
Well, I haven't seen BJ, but I spoke to him on the phone a little while ago. I haven't seen Gary in a while. Bill I saw a few days ago in LA, Bill Lorden. Mm-hmm. Reggie I haven't seen for about a year. But, you know, I mean, they pop up and say hello and that, but not a lot of them now. Don't really have time. You know, they're doing their stuff, and I'm not doing anything.
So what, you have David Bronze on bass and Martin Clapson on drums?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got that right, okay. But are you going back now, you're going to work on an album and then hope to sell it, is that right? Or just
Well, we're going to record we're going to do a live album, actually. Yeah. That's the plan. But after the tour, we're going back to London to do some gigs there, and we're going to record it live just to see what comes out. You know, if it's any good, we might try and put it out as an album.
Do you think, at least in England, do you think the tastes are a little bit better, that you don't have to fight the same thing with the airplay that you do here?
Well, I've never had any real success in England at all, not to speak of. Not like in America.
Oh, and this one, this is best picture of it. Can you write to Glenn on there?
Oh, yeah.
With one end, thanks. This is...
That one as well?
No, just on that one, because
Okay.
the frame that up. And your tour, what, you're just doing 30 cities, right? That's it.
Is it 30, Keith?
I think it's 30, maybe about 35.
30 odd.
Okay, how long was it you played in clubs in Austin?
Well, since I moved there in 1972, New Year's Eve. Started, the first time I played there was, I played bass for my brother in 68, mid-68, I guess it was winter, '68.
Okay, now after all that time, 17 years or whatever, how does it feel now that you don't have to do that anymore? How's the success now after working hard all those years?
Well, the success is fine. Playing in bigger places is fine. I miss playing those clubs too. We get to go to Antone's every once in a while. We have a blast.
Yeah, I kind of miss the Rum Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss that place a lot.
The Rum Inn meant a lot to me. I played there for years and years. Got engaged there. Got married there in the band room.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was just there 2 weeks ago seeing Luther Tucker. Okay. Why do you think your type of music is so successful as opposed to guys like Omar Van Dykes and Johnny Winter who are forced to go on smaller record labels? Why is it that you've been able to break through, do you think?
Well, maybe it's just our turn.
Something new too.
There's something else to it. We play a little bit wilder, I guess, in a way, which is more commercial to the record company, I guess. Part of it had to do with when we were talking to the record company. They asked us. I mean, they came out and told us that nobody wanted to hear this stuff, and we said, "Put it out and see what happens." So it was kind of a dare. It worked.
Yeah, it sure did. Okay.
We weren't joking.
Talking about getting wild on stage, you really pull out all the stops.
It's his instrument.
Well, yeah. Bach, yeah, there you go. All stops on his organ, okay. But you really let it out. What is it about concerts that it seems like you guys really open up much more than, say, the albums in the studio?
Well, there's people. Mm-hmm. There's people to play to. They come to see us. They give us a good time. We try to give it back.
What's that chemistry like on stage between all of you? How do you?
It's fun.
Yeah, kind of like dynamite.
Fun. Yeah, we know what we're going to be doing. Just by looking at each other, by playing a little bit, we know kind of what the other person is going to do, and it's a great rapport. The main problem is hearing each other. If we can hear each other, we can.
Yeah, if we can hear each other, we're fine.
Yeah.
What sort of feedback you get from the audience when you see the guy in the front row there, and he's
actually there's usually I find it just happens. I'll end up finding one person that's really paying attention. In one way or the other, they're either a comic or they're serious or whatever. If there's somebody that doesn't smile or doesn't move or something, it just could be any reason. But I'll pick one person out and play with them for a long time. It's easier to get intimate that way, because you can't see the people in the back. That's the main difference in playing in a bigger place than in a club, because in a club the people are, of course, a lot closer. So you pick out somebody or a group of people or something and play mainly to them, and it's like you get this intimacy going on. And of course we're playing to everybody, but you can get a more immediate response like that.
Do you run a risk of losing some of your music by playing the big cow barns as opposed to a place like Antone's?
I don't understand.
Do you run the risk of losing some of your special intimate feel? That's what I'm saying. When the bigger you get, do you think you can still keep it together?
Yeah, it's just the music. The music is more personal than just at the gigs. That's where you perform it a lot of times. But
I think no matter what kind of place we play, we pretty much play it. We feel the same. The sound's a little different in bigger places. The sound kind of rolls around stuff, but we pretty much play the same. I love to do big clubs and big halls and little clubs.
Yeah.
It's all fun.
And sitting in your living room at home.
The climate's different in a big place. Everything's just real expanded, so we kind of try to do that too. What he was saying about connecting with someone or a group of people, it kind of keeps that connection there. Real strong, because then everything kind of goes off all that.
It turns into something. It's like meeting somebody and telling each other bad jokes. Except it's for a good reason.
Okay. What is it about the blues you think you really identify with? Why the blues? Why are you playing the blues? Why has it been so important to you all your life?
Well, it's a real thing, and I do understand why we have to ask this question.
Yeah.
or it would be redundant. It's the emotion that everybody has, whether they like it or not, and this music is to make that feel better. The blues are not something to make you go boo-hoo with, unless it's a happy boo-hoo, because it gets out whether it releases it by the lyrics, you know, they could be worse than somebody's situation, or they can identify with it, or it's happy lyrics and it makes them feel better, or it's just the emotion of the music itself without the lyrics. But it's to make people feel better. You know, it's not a thing to make somebody feel sorry for themselves. It's to make them have a good time. And that even if they're sick, that's going to be good for them too.
So
the blues are actually in some ways a healing kind of music, you know, because they draw out the bad feelings and make you have a good time.
Now, who were some of the guys you identified with? You had Hendrix, Johnny Winter, Albert King,
Albert Collins, Hubert Sutherland. My brother's my biggest influence, more than likely. Jimmy Vaughn of the Fabulous Thunderbirds.
Okay. Now that you have a certain degree of success, I mean, you sold about 2 million albums so far. What do you want now? Do you have everything you want, or what are some of the goals you still have for, you know, what are you thinking about in the future?
Oh.
You got film scores coming up. Yeah.
Well, actually, sometime in the future, I wouldn't mind having some time. That wouldn't hurt. Being able to have a studio would be good. Be able to help some of the musicians that I've heard and will hear in the future. There's many musicians out there that I believe have gotten more to give than anybody I've seen myself. You know, anything I've seen myself do. They should be heard just because they're not as commercial as what someone at a large record label would say. This is it. I would like to see them have the chance. A lot of times people don't get in the studio because they can't afford the studio time. I'd like to have a studio that, if they can't afford it, they pay for the tape, and maybe you know, it's a little something for the guy that runs the machines. Eventually, I wouldn't mind having my own label, so that if somebody turned them down, click, here's go. You know, everybody deserves that chance. There's many musicians that the only reason they're not known is because they've never have had the chance to be heard, other than in a small club or in one town or. You know.
What is it? Why Austin? Why is the music scene so great there? I mean, you got a place like Antone's. The guy who runs it, I mean, he's got it up here. But why is Beaumont so anemic? You know, why is so much of the rest of the area, Texas and other states, they just don't have it? Why? What is it about Austin, you think?
Well, there's a lot of musicians there that has moved there over the years. When I first moved there, it was a little different feeling. It's growing real fast now. It's more competitive now. But everybody still pulls for each other. You know, we don't get to see enough of it because we're on the road so much. It's still a place where people act like they're people and they treat each other that way. You know, it's not all fashion. It's not like Dallas or JR or anything. Beaumont, see, a lot of the people from down here have moved to Austin.
Yeah,
if it's anemic, that's why.
I'm one of them. Okay. I know you're ready for doing this.
Picture Henry.
Hey, you know, another thing I was noticing on Johnny's new album, the last two albums, he's using that laser guitar. That's great. See if we were listening to it last night. Yeah.
Smoking and not bad.
Well, he's screwing the Epiphones, I guess, or something.
Uh-oh. But you could guess the age of the disc jockey or something, man. That's sort of special going on.
Yeah. Have you guys even heard anything on the radio today?
Any of your songs? I listened today, I listened yesterday.
Did they play any of your songs? They did?